So, this is Cdog from Jedi Dragons Productions. You know, I honestly don't really know what to say at this point. I was shocked with how good both the Xbox and PlayStation conferences were. Now, I had very low expectations for the Xbox conference, and I thought, worst case scenario, all we were going to get was Crackdown 3 gameplay and maybe even Age of Empires 4, with both being released in 2020 or something. But I'm happy to say that the Xbox conference had quite a few reveals. I mean, it had a few reveals. The PlayStation conference, I had a bit higher expectations, and in that sense I was more disappointed with the PlayStation conference, but wasn't terrible. It ended up not being terrible, but I wish there were more interesting reveals. Overall, though, both conferences were pretty good. Microsoft delivered on their promise to bring more games on their promise to start making more games, and Sony delivered on their promise to show off the games they said they would. So in that respect, I really feel like those conferences weren't totally disappointing. So now I'm going to talk about which one I think was better and who, more or less won E3, Sony's PlayStation or Microsoft's Xbox and Windows. Honestly, at first, I simply could not decide. I thought they were both great in their own right, and I struggled even after I had fully digested the conferences as to whether, all the information as to whether Sony or Microsoft won. Now, I will say that Microsoft really only revealed a few games, a few true exclusives that caught my eye. I am super pumped for Halo Infinite and also for Gears 5. I mean, I'm a Halo and Gears fan, so naturally I'm pumped for that. I'm also very excited to see what Playground Games' RPG will end up being, but we didn't see that at E3, so guess I'm going to have to wait till Gamescom. But I'm really happy that Microsoft acquired Ninja Theory and Undead Labs and Playground and formed a new studio called The Initiative to make a AAA and IP. Like, all that news is really happy, but the thing I got from the Xbox conference, and I was expecting this more or less, so that's why I was happy about it, was we are going to focus on the future. We're going to turn things around, and we're going to show you what we're going to do, not what we're doing. And that was the whole vibe from it. And given the fact I had really low expectations, I actually was pretty satisfied with it. Simply because at least I know that there are games that interest me that are coming out and that that I've seen trailers for at the very least. But yeah, Xbox conference wasn't the greatest ever, wasn't the worst ever either. But I would say it was better than average, far better than average. It was pretty damn good, but it wasn't great. As for PlayStation's conference, I have to say the same thing, except for totally different reasons. Sony kind of did the opposite. They had very few reveals. They only revealed one game, Neo 2, and that was about it, other than a couple of VR games, but in terms of exclusives. But they did show off gameplay, and that's what I liked about the PlayStation conference, was the fact that they showed off what is being made right now. Now, Sony's conference, there are really only two games that I'm hyped for. Obviously, I was really impressed with The Last of Us Part 2's trailer and gameplay reveal. That looked awesome. And I'm also happy or hyped for Ghost of Tsushima. Both those games look great. Other than those two games, though, I could give a shit less about the multiplats and the VR games. But aside from that, Death Stranding looks like it'll be a good game, but it'd be my cup of tea personally. I feel like the multiplayer may be the saving factor, maybe the factor as to whether I buy the game or not, but I don't know. Aside from that, though, Spider-Man looked cool, but again, not my cup of tea. And yeah, there wasn't really much else shown. They revealed Neo 2, but the first game again wasn't my cup of tea, so I'm not too. It looks cool, but I'm not too thrilled about it. Now, I'm trying to think. Was there one other game? No, I think that was pretty much it. That was pretty much all they showed at E3. Was they showed off Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, and Spider-Man. They revealed Neo 2, a couple of VR games, and showed off some multiplats, and that was literally it. So I was pretty. I'm excited for Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, but boy oh boy was the rest disappointing. The Xbox conference, I was disappointed with a lot of it too. They showed off 50 games, but pretty much the majority of those games were either a multiplats or timed exclusives, so that really sucked. And even among the exclusives, the true exclusives on Xbox and Windows, they were mostly indie games, and that kind of teed me off a little bit too. But I'm very happy that both companies have at least a few games, or a couple games in Sony's case, to show that I'm genuinely excited for. And if I had, before I can declare a winner, I'm gonna have to give a grade. Sony's, if I'm going from A to F, the traditional high school grade letter system, I'd have to give it a C. A C+. I'll have to give it a C+, because while I feel like those two games were strong games, you know, that have me genuinely excited, that was really all there was to it for me. And the Xbox conference, and mind you, I personally would have to give a B-, just because they given the circumstances, they show that they had no games practically. I mean, they had Save the King and Sea Thieves, but those games were trash pretty much for the most part before the conference, and now we have some glimmer of hope for the Xbox brand. But yeah, I mean, if I had to declare a winner, obviously, as you can tell from the grade letter ring system, I would have to give the Xbox the win. Yes, the PlayStation conference won in the gameplay, the exclusive gameplay department, but there were only 3 major games shown, 3 major AAA exclusives. Microsoft's may have only had 2 major exclusives, but given the fact that Microsoft went out and acquired those studios, and given the fact that Microsoft not only acquired Ninja Theory, but also Playground Games, who is working on a new RPG, allegedly, that is really exciting news, and that helps Microsoft tip the edge a bit over for me. So yeah, I mean, both conferences were great in their own right, but I would have to give Xbox just a slight teeny edge over the PlayStation. But yeah, that's it. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video.